Winter has come early this year, and for hunters like me, it is considered a prime time to track wild boars. Wild animals that are increasingly destroying crops in many parts of France. Before dawn, my experienced companion, Etienne, and I arrived at the gathering point. They moved last night, he said, and the tracks are still fresh. They don't mind the cold, but the north wind today will slow them down. We went deep into the forest downwind so that they could not detect our scent. Wild boars here usually travel in small herds, 3 to 5, sometimes accompanied by a very intelligent and cunning leader. In the cold air, a wild boar appeared. We focused on shooting. Perhaps because the wild boar ran fast and the weather was extreme, we had to shoot several times to completely get it down. We continued along the gentle slope where the thick undergrowth provided the perfect habitat for the pigs during the day. I could feel the tension in my every step. The cold wind blew against my face, and the smell of rotting wood and damp earth made my mind strangely clear. Etienne suddenly raised his hand and pointed to the trees ahead. I focused my eyes and saw a large male wild boar. It was about 50 meters away from us, close, but not close enough to guarantee a fatal shot. The dogs had done their job of chasing the boar, forcing it to charge towards our ambush. Without hesitation, I raised my gun, held my breath, and pulled the trigger. The shot rang out in the cold air, and the boar fell. Half an hour after we killed the boar, we heard the sound of hurried footsteps. Etienne whispered, "There are a lot of boars coming." The words made my heart pound, not just from the exercise, but from the adrenaline rush. There was one too. Countless black shadows flashed between the trees. Without thinking, we gripped our guns tightly, aimed at the right spot, and pulled the trigger. The sound of an explosion pierced the still air. A few wild boars fell down. The rest ran away in panic. But we did not chase them, because the thick snow would easily tire us out. So we continued to search for other wild boar colonies. We moved to the south of the forest, where the trees were thinner and visibility was better. The dogs were still on duty to chase away wild boars that ran towards us. When the prey was within sight, we took it down immediately. To make the shot more accurate, we needed to aim precisely at the head and chest of the wild boar. Thanks to that, we can kill the wild boar as quickly as possible without causing pain. Cold weather and thick snow did not deter us. The dogs, despite the cold, still chased the wild boar quickly. Perhaps the excitement made them forget the harsh weather. That hunt made me realize that the French winter forest is not like the romantic pictures show. It is harsh, cold, and requires serious preparation. Every step can lead to danger. Every shot carries risk. We didn't let anything from that wild boar go to waste. The meat was shared with local families. The skin was processed into souvenirs. The bones were made into hunting knives. Everything had a purpose. Everything had value. Our winter hunting trip is over. Please like and subscribe to our channel to follow more of our journeys.
Ever since I was a kid, I've been captivated by terrifying tales of monstrous wild boars, fearsome beasts lurking in the shadows. But instead of being afraid, I felt driven. Driven to learn, train, and become a fearless hunter. Tonight, my team and I are diving deep into their territory, into the dark corners where these ferocious creatures roam. A tense showdown is about to unfold, and only the boldest will prevail. Wild boars are powerful animals, but at night, they become even more dangerous. Limited visibility gives them the edge, and their instincts to hunt, flee, or fight kick in with full force. Some people have been chased for hundreds of meters through thick forests. Others suffered serious injuries for underestimating their speed and aggression. In China alone, over 10 wild boar-related incidents occurred in just the last 2 months of 2024, resulting in 7 casualties. Aware of how brutal these night warriors can be, our hunting team set out early to reach a familiar fort, well prepared for tonight's mission. In the pitch-black darkness, we relied entirely on our scopes to track every move. It didn't take long before the first boar appeared. I fired quickly and took it down, our first successful hit of the night. Sweeping the scope to the left, we spotted another group of wild boars foraging silently in the distance. I picked one, isolated in the middle, and pulled the trigger. The heavy thud of its fall startled the rest, and they scattered. We kept adjusting and firing, the determined to bring down more. We remained still in the open field, scanning patiently until another herd approached. Their course first stood out starkly under the moonlight. They were massive, arched backs, stocky legs, and solid muscle. I took careful aim, and with a clean shot, dropped one right where it stood. The others bolted, but we managed to land a few more hits. Still, none of us were disappointed. Hunting is never an easy stroll. It's a relentless battle. As the night deepened, more and more boars appeared, bolder and more aggressive. But fatigue was setting in, so we made the call to head back. Yet on the way home, we couldn't help but stop. An overwhelming number of boars had taken over a freshly seeded field. Gunshots echoed through the night as boar after boar fell from well-placed shots. For us, seasoned in the war against wild boars, hunting isn't just about protecting crops. It's an unquenchable passion. Though the night's thrills still lingered in our minds, a new challenge awaited us the very next day. As usual, we gathered in the afternoon to prep before heading back for dinner, gearing up for the real action after dark. By around 10 p.m., we reached our ambush point. The bait had been set, and sure enough, the first boar came sniffing in. As it stepped into the kill zone, I squeezed the trigger. One shot, one kill. But that bait didn't just lure one, it attracted a whole herd. The biggest and strongest were always our priority. 2 well-aimed shots brought down 2 more. We paused to catch our breath before the next round of pursuit. After regrouping, we moved past a small garden near the edge of the field. Through the scope, we spotted another herd hiding behind thick foliage. We had to move closer, and when the moment was right, I opened fire. The booming gunshot sent the herd fleeing. One particularly large boar wasn't so lucky. Back at the same field, the boars had returned. I locked in on the alpha, by far the most destructive, and took aim. But our wild boar pursuit wasn't over yet. On the far side of the field, the herd had returned again, scavenging for leftover crops. There they were, boars streaming in from all directions. This was the moment we were waiting for. The entire team moved in for the takedown. During the day, wild boars tend to stay hidden or move slowly. But when darkness falls, they grow bold. If you're thinking of joining a night hunt, make sure you're equipped and prepared. A single misstep can turn the hunt into a nightmare. Did the thrill of the chase get your adrenaline pumping? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more epic hunts coming your way. me, this trip was more than just a regular hunt. It was a life or death mission. Although I fought, trained, and faced countless dangers during my time in the military, I've never encountered a creature as tough and persistent as the wild boars. That's why, in today's hunt, this swamp environment became a true battlefield. Holding my rifle tightly, I understood one thing clearly. Every decision, every shot must be precise. One bullet, one life. That's the only rule I needed to follow. Swamp-dwelling wild boars not only destroy the ecosystem but also cause immeasurable damage to the surrounding environment. They wade through wetland areas, disrupt plant life, and tear up rice fields and gardens. Especially in the swamp, wild boars can easily hide and escape, making them incredibly difficult to pursue. Compared to land hunting, hunting wild boars in the swamp requires us to move more slowly and patiently, or risk slipping or losing our bearings. The swamp, a challenging environment, is ironically the perfect place for wild boars to hide, especially in murky mud pools or thick vegetation. During the journey through the swamp, we constantly battled strong currents and had to duck under tangled branches to keep the boat from crashing. Eventually, a small boat brought us to a completely unfamiliar area. Suddenly, one of my teammates spotted the silhouette of a large wild boar. Without hesitation, we climbed ashore and fired as soon as we saw it. The boar collapsed after a single shot. Soon after, we locked onto our next target, a giant boar weighing up to 120 kilograms. It was clear that this land was the ideal habitat for these monstrous wild pigs. That afternoon, I traveled alone down the river. The current had calmed since the morning. From a distance, I spotted my first target, a boar soaking in the mud. I carefully approached. Just as it stood up to flee, I took my shot and brought it down within seconds. Muddy wetlands like this are never short of boar activity. A fully grown wild boar was sunbathing nearby. It sensed danger and started to run, but my two quick shots ended that escape for good. Spotting a boar trying to escape, I stopped the boat and set up an ambush to cut it off. It panicked and turned to flee in the opposite direction, but it was too late. The gunshots echoed through the empty swamp, ending its escape. Leaving the forest and heading downstream to return, I noticed small muddy patches, clear signs that boars had passed through. I moved in and there it was. Without hesitation, I pulled the trigger. The wild boar let out one agonizing cry before collapsing. With success in hand, I headed home, tension and satisfaction mixing after a challenging day in the swamp. After a night's rest, we were back at the swamp early in the morning. Wild boar tracks were visible all over the soft ground, deep prints showing where they had passed. We followed the tracks, and suddenly the dogs began barking, signaling the prey was near. I approached cautiously. As the black silhouette emerged, I seized the moment and pulled the trigger. Wow, just look at it, a massive wild boar with coarse fur and razor-sharp tusks. Our next target that day was a group of tenacious boars hiding in a swamp near a residential area. It didn't take long. The airboat brought us right to the first target. We immediately launched our attack, giving the boars no chance to react. They scattered in panic in every direction, trying to escape, but there was no getting away from our determined pursuit. Our hunting results kept piling up, and with every step, it became clear this hunt was not only tactical but also a test of patience and determination in our effort to control the wild boar population. Time flew by, and before we knew it, evening had fallen, but the battle wasn't over yet. Our agile hunting dogs led us to another wild boar. I moved in and, without hesitation, fired a decisive shot. The target dropped instantly. The dogs were outstanding today. Once again, they guided us to another boar. I quickly aimed and fired. The boar didn't even have time to react. It fell without a sound. It seems my skills have improved a lot through these hunting trips. These precise, decisive shots are not only the result of experience, but also the perfect blend of keen observation, patience, and refined tactics. Thank you for following this journey. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel.
Jesus.
When the first leaves begin to turn gold across the forests of Turkey, hunting season officially kicks off. In the cool, breezy autumn weather, much milder than the sweltering summer, wild boars often gather in groups and head out in search of food. That makes it the perfect time for hunters like us to track them more easily. Now, let's dive straight into a thrilling, intense, and emotionally charged hunting expedition together. As the sun dipped low on the horizon, our team hit the road in our familiar hunting truck, heading toward the forest. The moment we arrived, everyone got into position without hesitation. I focused all my attention on every subtle sound and movement. There it was, the target had emerged. The wild boars sensed danger and bolted, but a well-placed shot from the dropped one of them just in time. Still in the same ambush position, I was presented with another chance to take the shot. This time, a boar charged head-on toward me. Before it could veer away, I pulled the trigger. The animal had no chance of escaping. The hunting dogs were doing an excellent job. They had locked onto another boar. But at nearly 30 kilometers each, the animal scuttled away and escaped, leaving us frustrated and disappointed. We continued scouting the area, and suddenly, without warning, a new target appeared. I didn't hesitate, immediately got into shooting stance and squeezed the trigger. The first shot missed, and the entire group of boars scattered in panic. A rapid follow-up volley eventually brought one down, motionless on the ground. I headed into the forest tour with a few friends and our pack of hunting dogs. Under pressure from the dogs, the wild boars were forced out of hiding. I was ready. One emerged, then another, and then an entire group came into view. Without letting up, I aimed and kept firing. After a barrage of bullets, a number of them lay lifeless in the dense forest. On the other side of the forest, my friends had also taken position and waited patiently. 5 tense minutes passed in silence. Then finally, the prey appeared. But these animals were clever, weaving through the trees to avoid detection. Still, with sharp instincts and skill, Harry swiftly took one down and flashed. Less than 5 minutes later, a few more wild boars emerged, catching us off guard. Quick and agile, they zigzagged through the trees. Harry, keeping steady aim, took careful shots. Eventually, one from the group fell in the heart of the woods. I quietly moved deeper into the forest, gun ready in hand, waiting for any suspicious sign. And there it was. My goodness, not just one, but dozens of boars charged in our direction. I didn't hesitate. I quickly raised my rifle, locked onto a lone stalk, and fired decisively. The boar collapsed instantly. The rest scattered quickly. We gave chase. All of us kept reloading and firing, managing to take down many. The rustling of leaves nearby put me on high alert. Just as I raised my weapon, a wild boar burst out and darted right past me. I fired without hesitation. The first bullet missed, but the second hit its mark, dropping the beast within seconds. The deep forest, always a reliable refuge for wild boars, had once again hidden my next target. After some tracking, I finally spotted one emerging from the edge of the woods. I quickly raised my rifle and fired the moment it charged out. One single, clean, and precise shot was enough to bring it down. And just like that, today's hunt comes to a close. What did you think of this journey? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to catch more adrenaline-filled hunts coming your way. Although I've encountered many invasive species before, wild boars remain among the most destructive and persistent creatures I've ever faced. They not only ravage crops, but also test the patience of even the most seasoned hunters. Today, we return to a familiar mission, but with a twist. This time, we're hunting wild boars from the sky, aboard a helicopter. A thrilling, breathtaking, and visually stunning journey awaits. Let's dive into this spectacular hunt together. Taking off early in the Robinson, our 44 helicopter, we quickly stabilized our position, gripping our rifles firmly and ready for action. The rotor blades sliced through the air, mixing with the echo of gunfire from Linda and me, creating an intense atmosphere midair. From above, we had a clear view of the terrain, targeting the boars frantically dashing across the fields below. However, their incredible speed and ability to change direction meant that some required multiple shots before they were finally taken down. The helicopter kept circling, moving toward the central area. On the ground, wild boars of all sizes were scrambling to escape. We didn't give them a chance to flee. Lowering our altitude, we aimed at the familiar dark figures. A barrage of bullets followed. Just like that, several more candidates were added to the takedown list. Thick bushes are always a favorite hiding spot for wild boars, giving them cover after every chase. As the herd panicked and scattered, they weaved through the dense underbrush, but from our aerial view, none of their movements could remain hidden. After a few missed shots early on, I regained my composure and shooting rhythm. Shot by shot, my aim improved, and no matter how agile they were, the boars eventually fell to precise, decisive fire from above. After a short lunch break, the helicopter roared back to life and we resumed our pursuit. As soon as the first target appeared, I didn't hesitate. I pulled the trigger and dropped it in an instant. A large herd of wild boars became our next opponents. They tried to scatter and escape, but it was no use. The helicopter locked in, closed the gap, and one by one, each target was taken down. In just a few minutes, nearly the entire herd was wiped out, a clear testament to the superior effectiveness of aerial hunting over traditional ground methods. The helicopter swiftly turned toward a vast open field. Holding our altitude, we focused intensely and locked onto our targets. The boars split up, sprinting in all directions in sheer panic. It was the perfect moment. Gunfire erupted, each bullet fired with precision and force. Each hit caused the boars to stumble, tumble across the field, and lie still, ending their trail of destruction in an instant. Look at that, another herd, this time even larger, probably over 20 strong. Our entire team locked in and unleashed a barrage of fire. In a matter of seconds, gunshots echoed rapidly, and boar after boar dropped across the field. There was no escaping fate. thought the hunt was over, we stumbled upon a few stragglers on the way back to the rendezvous point. With a single shot, they dropped where they stood, motionless. This hunting trip wrapped up with a series of incredibly satisfying takedowns. Wild boars kept falling, so many that we eventually lost count. Still, that number barely made a dent compared to how fast this species can multiply. We'll be back here before long. How about you? Would you like to try this